through by the time we get into this afternoon. So let's walk you through this big change now that's entering into our weather picture, and it does include a 19 first alert weather day through the rest of the day today because of how strong some of those winds are going to be as we go through the remainder of this afternoon and honestly even into the early parts of this evening. So as temperatures come crashing down, when you get these big drastic swings in your temperature, that helps to create the wind that we have in our atmosphere. And so this could lead to gusts upwards of 55 miles per hour in some spots through this evening. So be mindful of some tree limbs that may get knocked loose, may come down, may fall on some power lines, and then could lead to some possible power outages as we go through the second half of today. We do have wind advisories in effect for many of us, but even if you're not necessarily under that wind advisory, know that it is going to be a windy day regardless. It's just where we have the wind advisories in effect, that's where we expect some of the strongest of the winds, mainly west of I-71. And then the closer you get up to the lake shore, and this will last through 7 p.m. with the exception of Lake and Ashtabula County. Your wind advisory will expire tonight at about 10 o'clock. So this is where your wind speeds sit right now. This is just your sustained wind. So you can see it's already pretty elevated. In a lot of spots, we're talking between 10 to 25 miles per hour, but closer to the lake shore, that's between 20 and 30 miles per hour of a sustained wind. Factor in the gusts, and we've recorded gusts all the way upwards of 45, 46 miles per hour so far today. So this is going to be the biggest battle that we have through the remainder of this afternoon. Sure, we have a couple of these isolated showers. These are actually all popping up right ahead of that cold front as it continues to move to the east. We do not anticipate these to be severe, but if you do get a little bit more organization, don't be surprised if you hear a couple hail pellets trying to mix in just because of how cold some of this air is that's filtering in on the backside. You can see it's already creating some lake effect snow off of Lake Michigan, so that is something we will have to watch later today. But really the big story for us, the wind and those colder temperatures. Youngstown still at 60, meanwhile Sandusky all the way down to 41. We'll show you how quickly these temperatures will fall through the remainder of the afternoon coming up. Is how strong some of those winds are going to be as we go through the rest of the day today. Certainly, when you look to the lake, this usually is one of our good indicators when you have that wind coming in out of the west or north, where you start to get a little bit more of that chop out on the water. That is going to be more so expected as we go through the remainder of this afternoon as temperatures come crashing down on the backside of a cold front. The cold front was really the catalyst to get all of these showers and thunderstorms that developed earlier this morning to really get going. And then now we have to worry about that colder air that's mixing in on the backside, which could lead to some pretty high wind gusts as we go through this afternoon. So we do have wind advisories in effect for a good majority of northeast Ohio. If you are not officially included in that wind advisory, know that it is still going to be very windy. Your wind gusts just may not be on the order of 50 to 55 miles per hour. It is something we will have to watch through this evening. The wind advisory for most goes until 7. Ashtabula and Lake County, this will go until 10 o'clock tonight. And you'll see on your wind gust tracker, these are going to be some pretty powerful winds that are going to be mixing their way into the area as we go through the next several hours. So gusts upwards of 50 miles per hour possible, especially in the near term as we're really working in some of that colder air. And then as those temperatures start to moderate a bit more, we will start to see the intensity of that wind come down. By about 9 o'clock, we're talking winds gusting upwards of about 30 to 35 miles per hour, and that will hold through about 5 o'clock tomorrow morning. And then we will eventually see those winds really starting to relax by early tomorrow. But if you look closely at some of our cameras, you can actually see how quickly some of those clouds are moving through the area as that cold front continues to make its way through the region. But this is the preview of what's to come. High pressure building in across the central part of the country will eventually bring us those more pleasant conditions as we go through the day tomorrow. We are keeping an eye on some scattered shower activity. This is all out ahead of the cold front. Nothing is severe. This is mainly just some heavier bouts of rain one last time before that front clears all this activity out of here. One thing we will have to keep an eye out for is the potential for a little bit of light lake effect snow. Should not accumulate too much, especially on the ground, simply because of how warm it was yesterday. But just because we have some of that colder air rolling in over the lake, that could give us a few of those bursts of snow. So don't be surprised if you see a couple flurries trying to mix in through the later part of today. Tomorrow, the coldest over the next 7, temperatures into the upper 30s. And then look at that. We are warming up fast by early this next week. We will talk more about that warming trend coming up in just a little bit.